And we are going to go ahead and hit record. Francis, if you wouldn't mind. Perfect. Thank you. Francis is going to keep an eye on things behind the scenes to keep the session running smoothly today. We're also joined by MTAS Public Works Consultant John Chlarson. Hello, John. And our MTAS Training and Development Manager, Johanna Owenby. Hello, Johanna. So we'll hear from John and Johanna later on in the presentation. Thank you both for being here. Thank you all for being here. As a reminder, this webinar is, as I said, being recorded, and we will share the recording on the MTAS YouTube page. If you have questions during the session, we ask that you please put those into the chat. We'll address questions at the end of the session if there's time, and then if we run out of time, we'll be sure to follow up offline. If you have an immediate need for technical assistance, you can send a chat directly to Francis, or you can email mtaslibrary@tennessee.edu. That email address is in the chat if you need it. All right, to start off, here's an overview of what the session is going to cover. And at this point, I am going to turn off, turn off my video here just to minimize distractions and conserve a little bandwidth. I'll start by doing an overview of MTAS as a whole, what the agency is and what we do here, and then I'll give a more detailed explanation of the RIC, or Research and Information Center services. We'll follow that up with Q&A with John Chlarson, who is one of MTAS's Public Works consultants. He's going to share his responses to some questions that I prepared for him about his role at the agency. And then finally, Training and Development Manager Johanna Owenby will tell us about the training programs that are available through MTAS and how you can register for those upcoming opportunities. Starting off with a little bit about MTAS. I'm not going to do a whole history lesson, but I will say to begin with that MTAS was created in 1949 by a public act of the Tennessee General Assembly. The bill was sponsored by 6 senators from across Tennessee, and it enumerated the specific duties and goals of MTAS, stating that the agency, quote, shall be used for studies and research in municipal government, publications, educational conferences, as well as technical, consultative, and field services to municipalities in any and all matters relating to municipal government. Today, MTAS is housed within the UT Institute for Public Service, along with 7 other agencies. Those sister agencies of ours all have different focuses from MTAS, but all of us work toward the overall IPS goal of serving businesses and government to improve the lives of Tennesseans. Here's a shot of all the MTAS staff together. We've got a couple of positions that are vacant right now that we're trying to fill, but at full capacity, it's around 50 to 55 people. This is a photo from our annual retreat taken earlier this month. So we're missing a couple of folks who couldn't be there that day, but pretty much all of us, all of our consultants, as well as behind the scenes staff. In terms of where we're located, we have MTAS offices in all corners of the state. There's Memphis, Jackson, and Martin in West Tennessee. John Chlarson, who's here today, is based in Jackson, but he does a lot of his work out in the field in cities and towns in Middle and West Tennessee. We also have an office in Nashville. And then over in East Tennessee, there are MTAS offices in Chattanooga, Knoxville, and Johnson City. Francis, Desiree, and I, the 3 librarians in the Research and Information Center, we're all based in Knoxville. Johanna, the Training and Development Manager, is also based in Knoxville, although she also travels to teach in municipalities across East Tennessee. So the bottom line is that there are MTAS offices all over the state, and our consultants are on the road all the time, making field visits to cities and towns. Ultimately, we want to reach our customers wherever they are and ensure that all Tennessee municipalities can make use of MTAS services. So what are those services specifically? Well, we break it down into sort of these three main pillars of service. There's research and information, which is what Francis, Desiree, and myself do as the librarians in the MTAS Research and Information Center, or RIC. And I'll talk a little more about the RIC in a moment. In terms of consulting, we have different teams of consultants based on their areas of expertise, and they deliver technical assistance upon request directly to any and all Tennessee municipalities. And finally, there is the training and development team, which Johanna will talk about toward the end of the webinar. As far as what the Research and Information Center does more specifically, we focus on knowledge management. So we have a small specialized collection of print materials, including books and articles from trade journals like the APWA Reporter, and we can check out those physical materials to Tennessee municipal officials and staff. We also maintain the collection of electronic resources, including work produced by MTAS consultants, such as reports and studies, sample job descriptions, sample ordinances, and survey results. We can also provide research assistance. So if you're looking for information on a topic and don't know how to start, the RIC is here to help. We can collaborate with you to develop an effective search strategy. So we'll recommend where to look for the best resources, whether that's in our own MTAS collection or beyond. And we can help you figure out what search terms to use to find the most relevant results. Depending on the scope of your request, we can even conduct some of the research ourselves on your behalf. And in those situations where you need information that is not readily available online anywhere, which does happen, the RIC can help you design and distribute custom surveys to gather that information from other cities and towns in Tennessee. We'll work with you to develop the right questions for the survey. We'll identify the best municipalities to send it to, and then we'll distribute the survey and compile the results and make those available online. So that's a very valuable specialized service that the RIC provides to a lot of cities and towns. A lot of people make use of that. Some of you in the audience may have requested that we do a survey on your behalf before, or may need one in the future. You may also have received a survey from us to fill out. And if that's the case, please know that we and your colleagues across the state always appreciate your participation in those surveys. And then finally, the RIC librarians help with communications and outreach for MTAS. Francis, for example, coordinates the quarterly municipal e-news newsletter. And then we also post municipal job listings to the MTAS website and to our social media channels. So if there's a position open in your city or town, please email it to us. And we'll post that on the MTAS site, as well as to our Facebook, X, and LinkedIn pages. And if you're on any of those social media channels, feel free to follow MTAS. We post reminders about training and behind-the-scenes looks at our MTAS consultants when they're out and about, as well as those municipal job openings and things like that. In terms of consulting, we have different groups of consultants with expertise in different areas. We have municipal management consultants who split up Tennessee among themselves, and I think it's 9 territories that the management consultants divide the state up into. They're usually a city's first contact with MTAS, and they work one-on-one with city officials to solve problems and answer questions related to things like risk management, annexation, goal setting, and municipal organization. So they have a wide range of knowledge without being specialists in the more narrow technical areas. To cover those other more specialized areas, we have other consultants. So we've got our finance and accounting consultants who help city officials use and manage fiscal resources. We have the MTAS legal staff who help officials deal with the municipal legal environment, and also with municipal courts and codification oversight. And then we have the technical consultants, which includes police and fire consultants, HR consultants, a public utilities consultant, and last but not least, our public works consultants. As with the other groups, MTAS's public works consultants divide the state up among them. So depending on where you are, for public works related matters, you'd work with one of these three people. John Chlarson, who's here with us today, covers mostly West Tennessee. And then we have Sheila Huffmeyer in Nashville. She's pretty new to MTAS, but she has hit the ground running, and she works with cities and towns in Middle Tennessee. And then for folks in East Tennessee, we've got Brad Peters. So for example, I think a lot of people were joining today from Red Bank. So Brad Peters would be your guy. As I said, today we're going to hear from John Chlarson. He's been with MTAS since 1998, and he's going to talk with us about his work so that you can get a better idea of what our public works consultants do and how they may be able to support your city or town. So I'm going to run through some prepared questions for John, but please enter any questions that you have for him into the chat, and we'll try to get to those at the end of the webinar, time permitting. And in fact, if you have any questions about any of this, you can pop those into the chat, and we'll either answer them at the end of the webinar or reply offline. And I am going to share my video again, John, so you can actually see me as I'm peppering you with these questions. Okay, so to start things off, the American Public Works Association defines public works as the combination of physical assets, management practices, policies, and personnel necessary for government to provide and sustain structures and services essential to the welfare and acceptable quality of life for its citizens. So that's kind of a mouthful there. In your own words, John, to kick things off, can you tell us what does public works mean to you, and what drew you to this field?
Public works, to me, there's several folks like Donald Stone who founded the Public Works Association, some other things. I think he may have come up with the definition you used. He said that they're the physical structures and facilities that are developed or acquired by public agencies to house governmental function. Building roads and other public works was one of the main reasons that local governments came into being to start with. They're kind of the skeleton and circulatory system, and it's part of supporting public safety, quality of life, and economic well-being in a city. And I got started with it, moving around in the engineering sector after getting out of school, by working in municipal engineering, designing the infrastructure that would support real estate developments, and then working directly for cities on municipal projects with private sector firms. And eventually that led to me going to work in the for municipalities themselves, and have enjoyed that for quite a number of years now.
All right, excellent. So that kind of, I think you've answered this second question a little bit already, telling us about your education and career background before you came to MTAS. But to follow up on that, so you majored in was it civil engineering? Or
yeah, I got a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering at Tennessee Tech University, and I have my professional engineering license, and through the university, I'm also a certified professional manager. I've worked in government, industry, and private consulting, and municipalities and the university. I established and ran an approved materials testing laboratory that for the sister facility to Oak Ridge in Jefferson City, Kentucky. It had to be approved by the Corps of Engineers and Department of Energy. I've been in responsible charge of engineering offices in Tennessee and Kentucky, and registered in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Illinois. And I was the city engineer and environmental services director, responsible for the flood wall program, sewer collection system, and sewage treatment plant, as well as the engineering and inspection division there in Paducah. So when I got to Kentucky, I asked for my administrative assistant to connect me with the Kentucky equivalent for MTAS so that I could get some resources from them. And she came back to me after a while and said, there is no Kentucky equivalent for MTAS. So I'm secretary of the Tennessee chapter of the American Public Works Association and co-chair of the chapter's Tennessee Public Works Institute.
All right. Well, that's quite the resume, John. Did you ever take a day off?
Well, you know, they say if you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I don't
That
know.
is a good point.
I enjoy what I do, and I plan on sticking around for a while. So after
Awesome.
I've been sticking around for quite a while now.
Well, keep on. And okay, next question. Can you tell us what's a typical day of work like at MTAS? I mean, I'm sure no 2 days are exactly alike, but are there any questions or requests that you tend to get from cities on a regular basis?
Well, one of the things I like about this job, there's a lot of variety. But then cities, it helps them when they find out they're not the Lone Ranger, that most of the time, if they had a problem, someone else has had a problem as well. So that's a comfort to them. Misery loves company. I don't know. But
That's the truth.
last week, I leveraged my time. We had 30 public works professionals from Collierville to Kingsport in Murfreesboro for the Tennessee Public Works Institute workshop on maintenance technologies in public works. So in 4 days, I got to work with people, like I say, from literally all across the state, 30 of them, which wouldn't have been possible, making field visits. So that's
Sure.
great. We
Cool.
cover transportation questions, sanitation, garbage collection and disposal, utilities. My title includes public works, utilities, and engineering. I got a certification from APWA in facilities maintenance, so building and grounds, municipal engineering, fleet management, and admin. And then public works is a department where it's if nobody else wants it, sometimes it winds up in public works like animal control or cemeteries. And if you're running a public works department and they try to give you either of those, if you have anything to say about it, that it should be no. But I see a lot of drainage questions from all across the state, and that's a common problem in cities. And one of the things is this our responsibility or the property owner's responsibility? So I even have a template letter where I can just basically fill in the blanks, and depending on whether I determine it to be the city's responsibility or the property owner's responsibility. So that's how common that question is.
All right. Well, fantastic. Sounds like, yeah, you keep busy, and there is a lot of variety, as you said, but also some things that tend to come up, some patterns that you've noticed. All right. Question 4, related question, sort of, but can you tell us about a specific issue that a city or town has approached you about recently? And I say recently, I mean, even just within the last few years.
Oh,
Can you explain, like, in some detail, like what the issue was and how you helped them resolve it? Feel free to redact names or, go into as much detail or not as you like.
okay.
But
Well, just some typical things. The A lot of cities are trying to do better job of asset management and trying to justify what they're doing with their paving programs. And we have something we call pavement condition index, where we go in and rate the quality of the streets and help them develop a multi-year paving plan that's based on the quality of the streets, not the squeaky wheel or the politics or anything, but something that they can point to and say, here's the condition of the streets. Here's how we're setting up our program to try and keep the ones that are in good shape, and how to deal with the ones that aren't. Right now, we had something come out of the legislature that comes into effect at the beginning of July, Public Chapter 140. We got a webinar on that today, and that says that any fees related to development over $250, you have to be transparent with and show how you came up with the amount of the fee. So I had a city call me up and say, hey, how do I comply with this? And we put our heads together with MTAS and the Center for Local Planning here at the Institute for Public Service, and are getting the word out and how to provide the resources to them to comply with that. Had a meeting yesterday with the city that's looking for a dedicated funding, a revenue stream for dealing with drainage problems, stormwater in their city. So we're looking at helping them put a stormwater utility fee in place where people, based on their contribution to stormwater runoff from impervious surface in their city, will pay a user fee. And then I'm finishing up a study for one of our cities right now for cameras in school zones. Traffic study with compliance with the speed limits and so forth that the law requires them to have in place before they can implement a camera system.
All right. Excellent. Thank you. So yeah, working on a lot of different things right now, it sounds like. And so if anybody out there, is having similar issues with, the paving projects or drainage or cameras and things like that, they'll know who to talk to. I may be making more work for you here, but sounds like that's a good thing for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell people I don't want to be like the Maytag repairman in the commercials where you're just sitting there waiting for the phone to ring.
That's right.
Lonely. And I also tell folks, one of my stock comments, especially in these classes we do at the Public Works Institute, is typically for consulting services. The only thing it's going to cost you is whatever your cell phone carrier charges you to make the call. And call me anytime, and I'll look forward to working with you.
That is a very good point. You're not charging hourly rates over there.
Right.
All right. So question 5, I was curious, if there are any especially memorable or strange questions or problems that you've ever encountered as a public works professional. I don't know if there have ever actually been alligators in sewers, or I've heard of things like the fatberg in the sewer systems. Have you encountered anything like that?
We had a major surface parking lot at a shopping center in Jackson, Tennessee that the outlet for it on a very large bypass ditch was blocked, and the shopping center flooded. Well, it turned out beavers had built a dam up inside the drainage pipe. Another one related to drainage. We in one of our cities here in West Tennessee, we kept having drainage blockage and kept having to go in and vacuum out the line, and it was just a recurring problem. So we TV'd the line and found out that the telephone, TV, and cable company had, when they put a utility pole in, had drilled right through the center of the storm sewer line. And so you had a utility pole going through the middle of the line, and that was the point where things would begin to collect and then finally choke it off. So that was a pretty unusual, well, I hope it's unusual thing.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, to look at a storm drain pipe and see a utility pole was not what you're expecting.
Yeah, I'm not an engineer, but that don't sound right. Well, and I hesitate to ask what happened to the beaver colony that was blocking the drainage pipe, but
I hope they relocated them first before they blew it out of there.
Yeah. We'll go with that. We'll assume so. All right, here. And just a couple more questions. So, besides the technical expertise that's obviously required, are there any soft skills that you think are especially important for public works professionals?
Yeah, I tell people, obviously you have to be a subject matter expert, but then beyond that, you need people skills. This is a relationship business. People need to like you and trust you to want to work with you and to get, we have credibility when we come through the door because we work for the University of Tennessee Municipal Technical Advisory Service. And that's been establishing credibility since 1949. And there's some giants that have come before me in this profession working for MTAS. And that credibility is mine to build on or diminish. And that's why it's important for me to be able to deal with people and develop relationships. Presentation skills are extremely important. We wind up in front of boards and sometimes the public, helping educate them about things they're considering doing. So public speaking skills are important. And then we wind up, you do a lot of field work, and you really enjoy that. But then the downside to it is that you got to get back in the office and write up a report. So being able to write clearly is an important skill.
Excellent. All right. Thank you. And we'll move on to this is the last question I've got prepared for you, and it's a two-parter here. But can you describe two or three major challenges that you see facing public works departments in Tennessee right now, and how might MTAS help tackle those?
Okay. Yeah, trimming it down to that number wasn't easy, but educating
Sure.
the public and elected officials, particularly in things like civics and public interest, why it's important that you pay your employees well and address the public works needs and doing things like that. Trying to elevate the common interest over the individual interest. If you taking a broader minded view, that's a challenge and that's important. Um, Employee recruiting and retention. If you, no matter who you talk to, where in the state they are, um, once you get past, just some griping about things in general, when you get down to brass tacks, everybody will say, we're having a hard time finding people, finding quality people, finding any people. And then we're having a hard time getting people to stay. The private sector in Tennessee has become extremely competitive. So it's a tough job market out there for local governments to compete in. And then deferred maintenance is a huge issue. Previous administrations in local government, typically across the entire United States, not just Tennessee, have been kicking the can down the road. And it's all coming home to roost. We're having to deal with trying to catch up on deferred maintenance. And then again, succession planning and employee development. Um, so many people tying back into the problem with recruiting and retention. They haven't been doing succession planning. They haven't been developing their employees, and they get caught. We've got the term that we hear too often, silver tsunami. But and then we have a lot of folks poaching employees, to the private sector or other local governments. So those are some of the major problems that we see, along with just rising costs across the board. Uh,
Sure.
Municipal public works departments having to deal with in Tennessee.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, it sounds, I mean, yeah, I asked you to narrow it down to just a few. It sounds like there are quite a few challenges. But on the bright side, MTAS has experts like yourself on hand to
Right.
to help help cities and towns tackle those. So
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
And we'll move on here in just a sec. But John, I do want to thank you very much for your time. Is there anything else, any last remarks you'd like to share, or just anything you want to remind folks about?
I would say at this point in time, we have one of the most competent public works consulting crews at MTAS that I have seen in my 28 years here. And they are all excited about getting to work with the public works professionals across the state. So it's a good time to be asking us for help here at MTAS.
Absolutely. Excellent. Yes, we got John, and as I mentioned, Sheila Huffmeyer, Brad Peters, and I should have said Steve Wyatt is our public utilities consultant.
Yeah.
So all of you guys are exceptional, and are ready to help any of our customers who need assistance. So thank you again, John. We'll move on now, and I'll remind people, if you have additional questions for John, or anything else, any other questions, go ahead and put those into the chat. For now, we're going to shift gears a little bit and hear from Johanna Owenby, who's the MTAS Training and Development Manager. She's going to tell you about the training opportunities available to MTAS.
Yes, thank you, Lindy. And thank you to the RIC team for this opportunity to talk about MTAS training programs and how we support Tennessee municipalities. Everyone, again, I'm Johanna Owenby, and I'm the Training and Development Manager. And I've been with MTAS since 2018. And as the training manager, I have the privilege of leading a team of 7 training staff across the state. We have 3 full-time training consultants, 2 training coordinators, an online training specialist, and we also have a grants and research director on the team. So I want to talk about MTAS training programs for just a few minutes. If you've ever put together furniture, you know that having the right tool is critical and makes all the difference. So training can be part of that toolbox for you. The more skills you have, the more knowledge you have, the better you can understand the right skill for whatever challenge you're facing or whatever problem you're trying to solve. So MTAS offers instructor-led and online training opportunities in a variety of subjects related to municipal government. We offer in-person, face-to-face classroom training. We offer virtual instructor-led on Zoom. And we also have online asynchronous courses in a ton of different topics that are available 24/7. So you can take those anytime, and they are free. We have, last count, I believe around 1,200 free online courses in all kinds of different topics. So I want to highlight just a few of our key programs at MTAS. One is the Certified Municipal Finance Officer, or CMFO. And this program is led by our finance and accounting team, but it is one of the biggest programs we offer. So I do like to highlight it here, even though it's led by the finance team. That's an 11-course program that has monthly sessions, and that one is designed to meet state certification requirements. We also have our Elected Officials Academy and our Elected Officials Special Topic Series. The Elected Officials Academy is 2 programs. Our Municipal Foundations program, which really covers the foundations for elected officials. That one covers charters, open meetings, finance, HR. And we also have Municipal Operations, which covers certain topics like public safety, law enforcement, public works, fire, and human resources. I said HR was covered in foundations, but it's actually covered in our operations program. Both of these programs will be offered as pre-conference sessions at the July TML annual conference. So if you're an elected official, or you have elected officials who are maybe new in their roles, this would be a great opportunity for them to participate in one or both of those programs. We also have a somewhat new special topic series for elected officials. That program rolled out in 2023. And that program meets quarterly on Zoom, and it covers just a variety of topics that we don't cover in the Elected Officials Academy. And we select those topics as being something that we feel is of special interest to elected officials in their roles. The next special topic coming up is on the role of elected officials in law enforcement, and that course will be on June 4th. We also have the Municipal Leadership Program, and this program is built on our leadership development framework. And it helps leaders to understand their influence on their people and on the culture of their organization. It helps them to build and enhance their communication skills. And it helps them also to build their comfort and their skill with performance management. We are finishing up our spring round of statewide programs, and more will be coming out in late summer and fall. If you're in West Tennessee, we do have a Jackson cohort that is starting, I believe, next week, and we have a few seats still available. So if you're interested in some leadership development and you're out in the Jackson area or close by, we do have an offering coming up. Lastly, with our key programs is our continuing municipal education program. And this program really offers a huge variety of training topics. Some of the courses we provide in that program meet annual training requirements for various roles, such as utility board training. And we also offer a wide variety of relevant professional development topics in continuing municipal education as well. In this program, we have rolled out 3 new courses in the past year: Making the Shift to Leadership, Keys to Civility, and a course on innovation and critical thinking. So those have been offered statewide this spring. More are being scheduled, and as we schedule those, they will be posted to our training calendar. Last thing I want to highlight is that this year, we are also piloting a new Planning Commissioners Academy in partnership with our sister agencies, the County Technical Assistance Service, or CTAS, and the Center for Local Planning, or CLP. And that program will begin this summer, and already our interest list is huge. So stay tuned for updates as we deliver that pilot and see how it goes this year. Next, I want to talk about how you can access training information. So one of the big things that I would encourage you to do is to sign up for our weekly training e-newsletter. And that QR code on the screen there will take you to a sign-up form where you can put your information in, and it will add you to our email list. We only send 1 email a week every Wednesday morning. And we just like to get that information out to let you know what's coming up, what's available, new topics we have coming out, so that you can see what might be available near you or on Zoom. We also have the MTAS training calendar that's on our website. And this is a really great resource because it is constantly being updated. So if you ever go check the online training calendar on our website, and you find that there's something that you are interested in and you're not seeing it, it could be that if you look again tomorrow or look in a week or 2, something related to that topic will have been added. We are constantly scheduling and confirming new training and adding it to that training calendar. And if you do get on the calendar and you don't see something that you would like to take or need to take, reach out to your training consultant, or you can email this email address on the screen here, mtas_training@tennessee.edu, and we'll get back in touch with you to let you know what the options might be for you. If MTAS does not have that training, if we don't provide that training, we do our very best to find a suitable resource for you. We do our best to do that and put you in touch with someone or get you the information for an organization that might be able to help. Lastly, our Kate Learning Management System. This is where we house our online training. And again, that's where our free over 1,000 courses are housed, where you can access those and just peruse and see what might be available to you. It's also where you can register for any kind of training, instructor-led, virtual classroom, whatever it might be. And lastly, I want to introduce you to your training consultants. We have 3 full-time training consultants. In West Tennessee, we have Yolanda Dillard. Middle Tennessee, we have Leah Frazier. Leah has just joined our team, and I'm very excited to have her with us. And in East Tennessee, we have Matt Hensley. Matt and I split up East Tennessee. Matt has most of East Tennessee, but I have a smaller territory around the Knoxville area that I cover. So if you would like to reach out to your training consultant and you don't know which training consultant is yours, feel free to email me. My email is on the bottom of that slide, and I will put you in touch with your training consultant. And in addition, if there's any questions that you have related to anything I've covered today, feel free to reach out to me, and I will do my best to get you the information you need. And Lindy, once again, thank you. I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Johanna. That was very helpful, and we certainly appreciate you taking the time today to let everyone know about all of the very important and helpful training opportunities that you all provide. I've seen some of our trainers in action, and they are, let me tell you, they're very good. All right, well, we are kind of getting down to the wire here. We like to wrap these webinars up at the 45-minute mark just because we know everyone is very busy and we appreciate your time. So we'll wrap things up shortly. One more thing I do want to mention is that our previous RIC Connect webinars are on the MTAS YouTube channel, which there's a QR code with a link to that YouTube channel. We did a session on license plate readers last year, as well as the MTAS survey services that we provide that I talked about earlier. And then just here recently, Frances did an excellent session where she demoed the brand new MTAS website. We did a big redesign of our site to make it more user-friendly and more navigable. So, so you may want to take a look at those, and also watch out for information about upcoming webinars. We're planning to put one on later in the summer. Looks like it will probably be about a research project we've been working on to do with drones. And then in the fall, we will likely do one more of these webinars. So we'll send out email reminders about those, and we'll also post on our social media channels about those. But we really appreciate you all taking the time to be here, and we appreciate your interest in MTAS and our services. It looks like we did, I haven't been watching the chat, but Frances, did we get some questions there?
I don't see any questions. I've been dropping links in the chat, kind of relevant to the conversation. Let's see. No questions, but people can unmute and jump in if they need to at this point.
Yeah, we've got just a couple minutes. So if anyone does have a question, feel free, like Frances said, you can unmute and ask, or you can put it into the chat. At this point, we'd probably have to follow up offline to fully answer any questions. But yeah, looks like there aren't any questions right now. So we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Just thank you all again for being here. And please do reach out to us, whether it's the MTAS library or to your public works consultant or to Johanna about training. We are here and we are ready to help you.